just in, there's a new game on the podcast.
What is that?
Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf, the podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
The game is about selecting one of 6 Dickensian characters, one of Dickens's favourite characters, and the journey as a character is you're navigating and manoeuvring yourself around the 56 streets of 19th century London. It's a fast-paced survival game where you can go back and forth along the streets, collecting gold, building strength through collecting ghost cards, inspired by the story of A Christmas Carol. You're leveraging the power of the 3 ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future to build your strength as you navigate your way through, interacting with different street mechanics as you land on different streets. Through building your strength, you want to get to the moment of truth, Street 56, with enough resources to be able to beat the board and be able to deflect away any other player challenges. There are a number of elements within the game where you can build strength. Players can interact and weaken you as you progress. And it's not necessarily the first person who gets there the end wins, because often they lose in the final battle and they are not strong enough to be able to fend off the other cards and resources of competitors who may be just sitting behind them as they then take the chance to beat the board in their final challenge.
Cool. Sound familiar? It didn't sound familiar to me either, but we'll find out later what that is. So today we have a guest on with us today, and also we're pleased to have, who else are we pleased to have?
Barbarian Leaf.
Yep, today on the podcast on Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf. So, let's see here. So first off, I guess we better say who we're speaking with. Don't say what, how you're tied to the story, but who are we speaking with today?
Hi everyone, it's Simon Gehring here, based out in Melbourne. We're from a UK team where my partners are based in the UK.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for coming on Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf today, Simon. We really appreciate it, making time for us, especially with quite a bit of time difference and whatnot. Now, let's see here. So, how did you get into tabletop gaming, Simon?
Yeah, I think ever since, as far as I can remember, we always used to play tabletop as a kid. So that's going back for me over 30 years ago, and that's all born from, I think, my family, my folks and our close friends used to be avid gamers. Wherever we used to go away on holiday, we used to play board games for hours and hours on end. Obviously at that time the breadth of board games and was quite a lot less. You had your standard kind of games like Ludo and Monopoly, but games we really loved 30 years ago. But I used to play a lot with my brother would be the games like Stratego, where there's an element of being tactical and making clever decisions with choices. Ever since then it's just grown and grown as the tabletop industry grown. We've kind of grown with it. We are super excited as a result of that to really take on the challenge, and it definitely is a challenge to build this game. Just in terms of the inspiration behind the game itself, my father built a kind of first version card game using the theme that we've used in this game over 30 years ago. Admittedly, it didn't go well, but 30 years on, we found it in the loft. and that inspired us as a family to get our heads together and go on this journey over the last 2-3 years to get where we are with the current game.
Oh, cool. And the game we're talking about, just so you know, is Scrooge. And so, yeah, inspired after your dad's card game, you said. And also the Charles Dickens book.
Yeah, Charles Dickens with a Christmas Carol. So, the theme running through the game with the three ghosts supporting you as a character to build strength to out Scrooge is kind of one of the general theme, leveraging on Victorian London. But we also integrated some of the other characters across Dickens's famous books, like Mr. Pickwick from the Pickwick Papers, just to kind of broaden out the theme.
Cool beans. Let's see here. So yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of any other Scrooge games. Is there other ones out there, or are you guys the first one besides your dad's card game?
Yeah, so there are no well publicized games. I think over the years, people have tried to leverage the theme of Charles Dickens, whether it's Christmas Carol or one of the other books. But I think it's often hard to connect that theme to the gameplay, which is why I don't think any Scrooge-related board games can come front of mind. Obviously my father's card game, whilst you can see it on Board Game Geek, it's not one that I would confess to be saying that people should go and buy. But no, nothing at the moment, which is really why we think the 2-3 years that we've really thought about how we can integrate strategic elements as well as tactical card play within a board game underpinned by the really well-known Scrooge theme. We are super excited about the opportunity and the possibility of where this is going, especially with the independent blind feedback that we've been receiving. It's an exciting time.
Did your family have a good time playing it with you?
My family had so I probably would be a bit biased in saying, but yeah, my family I've had a great time playing it. Obviously, the number of times that we've played it hundreds, maybe thousands of times over the last couple of years. And I think the exciting times is when you take the board and present it, whilst it's daunting in some ways, but you present it in front of friends, even in the early playtesting stages. The feedback that I've visually seen and the excitement that it's created on the tabletop has been, humbling. But it hasn't been easy to get to where we are today. Let's just say that.
So what's some of the hard parts that you've had to go through?
Hard parts is not ever doing this before. I think a lot of people really underestimate the time, the revisions, the playtesting, the revisions, the ongoing seeking out of feedback to improve what you're doing, and then really being honest with yourself and putting it out there and getting people's feedback on how the game actually plays. First, how you think it plays, how it actually plays to someone who's never seen the rules before or seen the board before. We've had in the early months we had some pretty honest feedback, and I think that for a few months kind of disheartened us. But we had a break for a couple of months and really came back and gave it our best shot. And especially in the last 12 months, we've landed what we believe is a great theme plus mechanic and story within the board that really creates excitement and an innovative game every single time. But outside of that, other things which we found difficult certainly has to be the way that we set it up from the locality perspective. So I live in Australia, my brothers and my father's in the UK, so kind of the need to be communicating daily. Obviously that distance has created some struggles for us. And then outside of that, family budget and trying to create a game that looks good and stands up against all these big publishers has required us to learn a lot of skills, like Photoshop, like social marketing, and that's taken a lot of time. So I'd say wrapping up, the challenges that we've gone through there, certainly some of them.
Cool. Well, I think you did a good job. Of course, I haven't seen much of it. I've seen the box. I love the box. It looks like amazing from what I've seen, and I really like that. You talk about different kind of mechanics, and I saw something about street mechanics, and I think you said something about it. What is the mechanic? What kind of mechanics do you use for this game?
Yeah, so there's a number of mechanics built into the game. Essentially, it's a game where it's a survival game where you have to go from Street 1 to Street 56. There are 3 movement choices. One is using 1 dice, 2 dice. The second dice is a custom dice, ranging from -2 to 2. So, at the core, there's the dice and roll element. But behind that, movement is controlled not just by the decision to choose 1 or 2 dice, but also you can replace dice movement by paint movement. That requires you to collect more gold. You can replace dice move with ghost cards. On some of the ghost cards, there are replace turn actions where you can instead, rather than moving through dice or through paint, you can move by leveraging one of the ghost cards. But you can only do that by technically choosing to build your ghost strength. Also, on top of that, movement is decided whether you want to go forward or backwards. And that's really important depending on your strategy and how you want to build your resources, and what streets you want to visit on your route to Street 56, Scrooge's Moment of Truth. But I would say outside of that, you've got set collection, you've got deck building. It is a player elimination game, so one of the most important things, built optimizing yourself who Scrooge is, making sure that you manage your gold effectively. And one of the ways to do that is actually to move backwards, because if you choose to move backwards, you collect gold for every street that you move. So, on the face of it, when you look at it in its pure form, it appears a dice roll race to Street 56, where in fact, being in the lead is often, or more than often, not where you really want to be. Because 1, you're not able to get gold, 2, you're missing on the ability to build strength. But 3, being in the lead is where you will get hit with what we call Scrooge's bag of tricks, where if a player lands on one of these streets and you're in the lead, then they give you a bag of tricks card, which often is not very nice to you. So there are a number of tactics around being the trailer behind the leader, so that you are allowing the leader to really take the brunt of the bag of tricks. And that's one of the elements of the game that we really do find really exciting, and has got some really positive feedback.
Cool. It sounds like there's a lot of choices. I've heard I've suffered from analysis paralysis. Will a lot of people hate me because it'll take forever to do my turn, or?
No. So it's a fast-paced game. So if you think of a standard turn, you choose where there's bag of tricks in play. You play your bag of tricks. If you have been in the lead and you were dealt one as another player landed on the street, then you choose, I want to move backwards, I want to move forward. Then you choose, okay, I'm going to move by using a dice, or 2 dice, or I'm going to pay to move. And then you play your action, you move, you land on a street, and then you do the street interaction or instruction. And generally turns can last between 10 seconds and maybe a minute if you land on one of the all-play mini-games, where all players get involved, and one of the games is you haggle it out for a poker-style kind of card game where you want to try and win the pot of gold.
Cool. So you're going around the streets and playing mini games or whatnot. It sounds, I don't know if it is. Is it maybe like if I took Monopoly and smashed it up with like something with mini games? I don't know. The only thing I can think of is like a Mario Party or something. It's not, in some sense, is it similar to those? Maybe, kind of.
I would say so. Like, we've had conversations about this, and one of the games I don't like is I think it's one of your questions potentially coming up is actually Monopoly. Purely because Monopoly, you just go round and round and round, and you're just buying property, and you don't really have control around where you're going.
Uh-huh.
So whilst on the face of it, if we are thinking of a pure dice and roll game, there's the similarity there because there's a dice and you roll. But I don't see anything similar in that sense because you've got 18 plus different types of street interactions. Now, on Monopoly, you're just buying and selling streets or buying and selling property essentially. So I wouldn't say there's a similarity there. I think one of the things we try to work out is what is it actually similar to. To be honest, we actually haven't landed on games in the market that there is a real close similarity to. I can't really specifically align it to a game in market at the moment. But what I would say is that there are elements of games, especially family-based games, that you can see connection with.
Cool. And you talk about, if I recall, you mentioned deck building as part of it?
Yep.
Cool. That's one of my favorite mechanics. Can you go more into depth on what kind of decks we'd be building in it?
Yeah, so some of the decks you can build are nightmare cards. So one of the core elements within the game there are 5 different. Sorry, I'll go back and explain. There are 5 different sets of cards in the game. So there's just under 160 cards in the game. Now, what that means is one of the cards is Bag of Tricks, as I've spoken to. Another is Ghost cards. Another is Nightmare cards. Now, within the Nightmare cards, you've got 2 different elements of Nightmare cards. One is a pure Nightmare card, and one is what we call Turning Nightmare cards. Turning Point Nightmare cards. Turning Point Nightmare cards actually is aligned to the story where Scrooge actually turns from bad to good. And that's why they are, out of the 30 Nightmare cards, the 8 Turning Point cards are really important because they have a choice of kind of player power. And you get one of these Nightmare Turning Point cards at the start of the game. You get one of these Nightmare Turning Point cards at the start of the game. And at any point in the game, you can decide to activate one of the 2 powers on the card, and they give a player unique strength. Over the course of the game, you can buy and or sell additional Nightmare cards. So you can add and change that group of cards as you wish, or you could discard the card. But essentially, what it enables you to do is that you can buy new nightmares to actually add to either your strength, or then sell the nightmare cards as you go on. And then once you've built up a strength of nightmare cards, if you've built up a set of 3 or 5, then that increases your multiple that increases your multiple if you then want to sell the cards to collect some gold.
Cool beans. So would there be a major mechanic, or they're all kind of play an equal role? Is there more deck building? Is there more trying to take that to the other opponents? Is there one that's more than the others, or are they all kind of similar? Or equal, I mean.
Yeah, it really depends on the like a player can decide. It really depends on the kind of tactical decision the player makes.
Okay.
But integrated in the game itself, there's a good blend of those choices. Now, you might want to collect a set of nightmare cards to then sell them to collect gold. You might then want to activate your initial turning point card of the same, and then continue to build on that turning point card so you increase your power more. The ghost cards are a way to increase strength. For me, I find the ghost cards and the bag tricks the most exciting part, because they are basically cards where players can use to battle against each other in terms of strengthening and weakening each other, but they're also there to actually enable players to increase their strength against Scrooge the board as well. So it's a really interesting battle because you're not only competing against other players on the board, but you're actually also competing against the board itself.
Mm-hmm.
Initially we thought of kind of marketing the game as a 1 to 6 player, but we lifted up to 2 to 6, because we want it to be a family-based game. But essentially, if you did want to play on your own, you can actually play the board and try and beat the board, which is exciting.
Cool beans. So, what kind of character do you be in? Do you get to be anybody from the movie, or are you completely different people? Like, would I be able to be Marley the ghost, or who would I be?
Yeah, so the 6 characters that we have, Oliver Twist, Mr. Pickwick, Bell, Artful Dodger, Fagin. So those are the 6 characters. I did say the 6, I hope, yeah. Mr. McCorber, sorry. So those are the 6 characters that you can choose from. And yeah, it's essentially they are one of 6 playing features at the start of the game. And there's a unit, like a standard playing piece that you play with as you move the player around, a 60mm playing piece as you move around the board. And that's in the original core game that we are releasing on Kickstarter. And you just play with that character, and you can interact and change characters as you play new games. But each character itself, that they don't actually, in the first version, they won't have their own strength or power. That power is leveraged from the actual turning point card that you get at the start of the game. But that gives us opportunity to vary the game in the future if we wish.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds really fun. So if somebody's going to back this, will they get it in time to play during the Christmas holiday, or when will they get it, do you think?
That's a good question. So we've got all manufacturing set up. We've got a local manufacturer. We are putting it on Kickstarter for Christmas delivery. We're not putting guaranteed, but based on our timelines, we are really focused on getting out for Christmas.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, especially with Scrooge and the whole theme or whatnot. But I know you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, so I understand that anything can go wrong and whatnot in publishing games, it seems like. But that'd be really cool to be able to play it for Christmas, because I really like to watch those Christmas movies. So, is Scrooge your favorite Christmas movie, or what's your favorite Christmas movie?
I would have to be biased and say it is my favorite Christmas movie. We watch it every year at home. There are a number of other movies. I used to love The Snowman. If anyone can remember that, I think I was in junior school, or maybe in infant school when I was 6, and I used to watch The Snowman.
Is that Frosty the Snowman?
No, it's the animation The Snowman with I'm not sure who knows the Welshman who sings, the Welsh choir boy who sings "It's Walking in the Air." That movie. That's a song for whoever lives in snowy conditions. I think would love that movie. But that and Scrooge are 2 top of the list films that we watch every year.
There you go. Yeah, I can't go without watching It's a Wonderful Life. That's the one I got to hit every year, and then all year long. Do you have a favorite rendition of Scrooge? A favorite one you watch?
Yeah, it's a good question. There are so many of them. So I think the original, one of the originals back in the 30s, is a really good one that we love to watch. We have a number of them on video. So yeah, I would say that's the one that we like watching again and again, because that's really where the heart of the movie making around the Scrooge thing first came about.
Cool. All year long, we get to watch the Mickey Mouse one, as Snack Leaf watches it over and over again. So we get our share of Scrooge throughout the year too.
I think all kind of those cartoon versions of whether it's Disney or Pixar are good movies to watch at Christmas.
For sure. So besides Scrooge, of course, do you have a favorite game?
Yep. I have 3 games that I like playing a lot. They're all slightly different in their own way. One is the new one, which I'm sure most people will know, which is Ticket to Ride. Love that game. I do love Risk. I'm a sucker for big thematic, long running kind of war games. And because I have a group of friends who also love Risk, it's a great afternoon when we can spare the time to play a proper game, which usually lasts 4 or 5 hours. I'm sure most people know. And a bit of a tangent, I also love Werewolves. If anyone is aware of that game. So yeah, it's a great game because you can play with so many people, and it's a good game when you're going away with friends to get the cards out and just have a bit of fun.
Cool. Going back to your risks thing, yeah, I really love risk. So, what's your strategy in case anybody who likes to play against you is trying to win, or you don't want to divulge that probably on air?
Oh well, I think I'm sure some of the people I play with risk, and they're pretty obvious strategies. I think the one of the things with risk, there is a little bit of luck at the start of it. There is a bit of luck throughout the game, but one of the pieces of luck is where you start, what cards you draw, and whether they're all in a collective area. But I seem to love Australia, and I'm not sure that's why I live here, but it's a good place.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I've always thought. I like to go for like Australia, South America, and Africa because they're less places you have to guard against. But my son, for some reason, when I played against Wizard Leaf, he goes for like Asia and whatnot, Asia and Europe, and he ends up blowing me out of the water anyways.
That's ballsy. I like it.
Yep.
Yeah, I do actually like the the Lord of the Rings version of Risk is quite a good one as well. Provides a different kind of theme, especially if you love the actual movies. It's actually pretty thematic. I actually kind of like it. The board's really good, and yeah, it's a good version.
Cool. We'll have to try that. I used to collect different versions of Uno and Monopoly before I got into what tabletop gaming is today. But yeah, we'll have to check that one out. They also talk about a Star Wars one too. They said it's pretty thematic and different than the regular Risk too.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't got that one. I know my brother would like that one. He loves Star Wars.
Well, there you go. So, did you guys so you talked about were you from the UK or were your family from Australia or how'd that work out? If you don't mind us asking.
No, not a problem. So we're actually all from Cardiff in Wales. My family's still there. I've been over here for 5 years now. So yeah, and I moved over here just to have a bit of a break and ended up staying here for a bit longer. And yeah, now just over here now, working, living. So as I said, one challenge with building a family board game, but it's a beautiful place to live, and you can't argue with it.
Cool. Yeah, that's good. So does it snow? I know you talked about snowing places. Does it snow over there or not?
Sadly, to the Australians, sadly, yes. Well, yes, but if you want to ski, no. Although people do ski here. So does it snow? Yes. Is it anything like the Alps or the Rockies? No.
Oh, there you go. Cool. Yeah, I can't say that I miss the snow. We moved to somewhere more desert than we were before, and yeah, I can't say that I miss the snow. So that's kind of nice.
It's good if you wrap the warm on a couple of sticks, but otherwise probably not. Just gets in the way. Unless it's Christmas and you want it to snow on Christmas Day, that's nice.
There you go. Yeah, Lady Leaf likes the idea of snow out through the window for Christmas time. But other than that, I don't know. So, why should somebody take a chance on the board game Scrooge?
That's a good question. I think one of the things that we've tried as a family, because we're very aware of the lack of knowledge of who we are and what games, the quality of the game that we could produce. But so one of the things that we've really tried to do is really on Kickstarter support the game with as much independent objective reviews from as many different types of reviewers, bloggers, and on the Kickstarter release page you'll see that. Hopefully by the end, when we release, we'll have at least 15 independent objective commentaries on the game. So hopefully that will give people confidence. But outside of that, speaking from the heart, it's not a game that we've just whipped up and put out there. It's a game that's really come from the heart, come from a family story of wanting to really bring the world of Dickens' life onto the tabletop. That is just not only thematic, but one which actually offers tactical decisions and strategic choice, which also has a blend of family fun and fiendishly good laughter, and that's what it really does. So outside of me selling what the game is all about, if you want a game that really is easy to learn, can be varied for younger children with a variation put into the game. A game that can be played not just with your family but with groups of friends. I often play the game with my friends here on a sunny table in the outback, drinking a Corona or two and having a bit of fun, because that's what it is. It's a game that there is strategic and practical decisions that you can take seriously, but it's also a game that you can have a lot of fun with different types of people. So, that said, I'd say put your trust in the time and the value and the feedback that we'll really support our Kickstarter campaign, and go for it. And when you look at the price that we're actually going to put it on, it's showing that we're not building a game to make a profit. And we want to build a game so we can bring the world of Dickens to life on people's tabletops, so people can have fun.
Cool. Yeah, I saw you there. It looks like there's a Facebook group for the game as well, and it looks like you were taking a lot of people's input. Can you tell us about the Facebook group and how that developed and what's been going on with that?
Yeah, definitely. So, must have been in December. So 9 months ago, I started. I created a Facebook group. We got, I think, we are close to 2,000 followers actually. Maybe the end of next week, or maybe just before Kickstarter, we'll hit our 2,000 Scrooger or backer, or followers, should we say, which is exciting. So one of the key things we wanted to do there is building that brand of who we are, what story we've been on, integrating feedback with people along the over the last 6-7 months. One of the channels that we thought we could do that through was Facebook. It's an opportunity to just put ourselves out there and be very open to honest feedback. And whilst with any social kind of page you put, there will be just people on there who aren't engaged. There are a lot of highly engaged people that we continually chat with, and one of the great things that's come off the back of that, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of listeners who are part of these Facebook groups across the platform, is everybody's so honest and kind and helpful, and I think that's been 100% critical for us to be able to get to where we are today. With our lack of knowledge around the industry in terms of getting a game to market without any publisher, we wouldn't have been where we are if we hadn't built that group and then connected with the people that we've connected with. So that's really super exciting. Like daily we post, or at least every other day we post on there and get people to engage with us and chat to us. And it's been a great journey, and one that's given us confidence to continue pushing in and putting in time and effort.
Cool beans. So how would somebody find that if they wanted to join the group and join the ride? So join the group. So we have a page and then a Facebook group. Primarily because we just, with the group itself, this is where we would be sharing with really interested people who want to be part of a more active group where they can share their own stories, but also get communication from us more regularly. And we appreciate some people didn't or wouldn't want that. So in terms of getting access to the group, we have an Instagram, Twitter account. We also we also have a website, www.scroogetheboardgame.co.uk, where we invite people to the Facebook group, and we also invite people to subscribe to our newsletter, which we send out every maybe 2 to 3 weeks. And on that is then an invitation to the group. So they're kind of the main channels that people can get onto the group and come and go as they will. There are a couple of questions that we put on the start of the invitation, just kind of get an understanding of people's kind of knowledge of the game and when it will be released. But we're pretty open with that, and as I'm sure most people are. Cool beans. So so that's great. And are you doing any giveaways? I don't know if we can cut this part out if we need to, but are you doing any giveaways? Are you going to be doing a giveaway with the Giveaway Geek and whatnot?
So we're doing so at the moment we're doing a giveaway on Facebook, or we're doing a giveaway of 3 board games. subject to Kickstarter. So there are 3 different competitions that we have currently on our Facebook page. But we would love to do a giveaway through Giveaway through the Geek as well. So if that is available, that's something that we would certainly like to consider.
Okay, yeah, we can record something about that if you wanted to at the end. Yeah, that's awesome. So let's see. So when is this going to be going till? When do people have to back this till? So hopefully they can get an awesome game for Christmas.
Yeah, so the Kickstarter is on the 5th of September. So UK time 12 p.m. So that's likely to hit US time probably night time on Monday. So that will run for 30 days to the 3rd, 4th of October. And then we're hoping to get the game out early to mid December.
Cool. So if you're listening right now, make sure you pull off to the side of the road so you don't cause an accident. Otherwise, you'll never get to play the game or whatnot, depending. But go ahead and at least check out the Kickstarter page, the Scrooge The Board Game, and see what kind of awesome game you could have for Christmas to play with your family and friends. And now on to our next section, Simon. It's called AAA. If you listened to us before, don't worry. It's not Alcohol is Anonymous. We're not going to make you stop drinking, but it's also a family board game podcast. So it's the Adventures in Application Acquisition. Is there any kind of applications you use over there in Australia? They don't have to be related to board games that we could talk about for a minute.
What kind of applications?
It can be anything. It can be on your tablet, on your cell phone. It can be on a computer, even a video game, whatever you'd like.
So Command and Conquer. For those who know the game Command and Conquer.
Cool, that works. Is it so it's based off of a game? What kind of game is it?
So it's a strategic game I play on the PC. So kind of a new age version of that would be Civilizations. So basically you build an army fort, let's just say, depending on the version you get, and then you go out and take over different territories. So if you think of Risk and assume instead of those kind of individual characters you have in Risk, you have kind of tanks, and you can build fortresses to defend your kind of world. You then take over, use those, build resources, buy tanks, and then take over other territories and other camps. So that kind of game.
Cool, that sounds fun. So and that's found on the computer, or where does somebody find that?
Yes, so you get on most computers. So I play on the PC, but you can play on most computers. I can't. I'm trying to think of ones you can't play it on, but yeah, you can buy the game for most games, most computers.
And how much did that run, or how much does that cost? That game usually, do you know?
When I bought it, I think it cost £30. So I just keep playing the game again and again online. But nowadays, you probably get that version cheaper. But yeah, I would just say £30, $40 ish.
There you go. So if you owned the rights to that game, what would be one thing you would do to make it better?
I would create more levels. So it's a game where you go through different kind of campaigns. I can't remember how many there are. Just say there's 16. Just keep creating more campaigns. And one thing Command and Conquer did, which I didn't like, was they brought in the special weapons. So it took away from reality in my head that you could have these special weapons which completely destroyed camps and vehicles, which I didn't think was kind of the vision of the game, because it's an army-based game, and then you brought in all these special powers which just destroyed everything, which is a bit disappointing. So you could build a camp for 10 hours or however long you want to build the camp. That's pretty slow, and then someone would use their special power and destroy it all in about 5 minutes. So it's not the most exciting of ends to 10 hours of building a base. So that's what I would change.
Okay, so you make more levels. Cool. So if anybody's listening out there, probably not, but hopefully one day, if the creators of that game are listening, go ahead and go ahead and make more levels for Simon. You heard it here first on Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf. And yeah, we just wanted to thank you for coming on the podcast, Simon. We really appreciate it.
No worries, Blake. It was really good really good to have me. Thank you, and also to you, Barbarian. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, he's actually come and gone, but yeah, it was good to have him. That's the first time one of the kids had been on one of the interviews, so we appreciate you letting us take a stab at that. We really appreciate that. And yeah, once again, just a reminder, go back the Scrooge the board game, not the card game, because I guess the card game is really old. Is that card game available, or if somebody wanted to give it a go?
No, definitely not available. No, it's not available. Just the actual tabletop board game is available.
Cool. So is that something you guys might look at doing, or what do you have in the hopper afterwards, depending on how this goes?
Yeah, there are variations of the game. One of the variations is to make more of a veteran game. There's variations that we want to build even more younger variation, junior variation, whereas there is already a variation in the game, and really, create a different version. And one thing I did touch on before was the one player element. Either build that out on the actual tabletop itself, because I know there's a big kind of group of people who want to play one player tabletop board games, but also how then that converts to in that game potentially. But our focus at the moment, and it always has been, is making the tabletop game the best it can be.
Cool. Well, yeah. So if you're, once again, go and check out the Kickstarter over there at Kickstarter and the Scrooge the Board Game, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Thanks again, Simon.
Thanks, Blake. Cheers.
So I'm going to tell you what it's related to. So if you watched DuckTales before, and if you watched it this year or month, write in this description box below, maybe. Anyway, let's see. No, the comments in YouTube. Anyway, it's related to Scrooge from DuckTales, who's really rich.
And actually, they take that from the Scrooge of Charles Dickens books, but yeah, that's even older than Dad, if you believe that.
So it was in 1887.
I don't know exactly the year, but that's a good guesstimate, Princess Warrior Leaf, or whatever we're going to call you again.
Princess Warrior Leaf.
Okay, now here is a little bit of, let's see here. Let me go ahead and tell you, let's see here. So, and just a reminder of the ones that we have going on right now. What were they?
In the back, the person in the background, sound in the background is Little Leaf.
Little Leaf, yeah, Little Leaf. Little Leaf, is that you? It is Little Leaf. Okay, so go ahead. Tell us what's going on, Princess Leaf. So
Scrooge just started this week.
And then a couple others started this week as well.
Potato Pirates, coding without computers.
And Arcade Fighter started too. What one's been going on for a while? What can you tell us about it?
Ancient Artifacts. It's related to Indiana Jones and Larry the Cucumber and the Magic Hairbrush from VeggieTales. Indiana Jones was made when Dad was born. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so we're going to talk about Scrooge. I don't know anything about it.
Well, actually, that's who we had. Yeah, that's who we had on the episode today. So you'll be able to hear all about Scrooge shortly. Now, here's a quick commercial for you, a quick ad for you, a quick advertisement about a new game, Paw Pirates. No, Paw Warrior Games. It is called Org Cheerleaders. You'll be able to hear all about it. Now, have a good day.
Ogre Cheerleaders is a light-hearted card game where players are trying to recruit the best squad of ogre cheerleaders. The way that works is each turn you play an ogre onto the field and resolve the card effects. The cards rearrange or manipulate what's on the field in some way, with the goal of arranging them into different formations that you can score, such as multiple cards next to each other that have the same value or are from the same team. It's a fun and silly game for ages 8 and up, so it's easy enough for anyone to learn how to play. Games are quick and last around 10 minutes or less, and it's a single deck of cards, so it's easy to bring it with you and play a few games at the restaurant while you're waiting for your food, or if you just don't have long enough to play longer games. We call it a 2-ish player game, which means that it was made to be played by 2 players, but you can add an extra player or 2 to the game and it still works just fine. The game will just involve more luck the more players you add. The artwork really helps bring the game to life and will have you laughing each time you play an ogre cheerleader to the field. Check out the Kickstarter page, which will be live until September 14th.
Gamer Leaf levels up. Tune in next week to see if Gamer Leaf's luck holds up.